Hey guys, James Wilson
Right.
Taylor here for Rock Sound. It is the latest of our video calls. We've been chatting with everybody while we're at home, and I'm delighted to say that our guest today, you knew her as Juliet Sims, but here she is. It's Lilith Czar. How are you, Lilith?
I'm great. How are you, James?
Not too bad, not too bad. Surviving through the madness we're all experiencing at the minute.
Yeah, we're living in a very crazy dystopian future now.
Aren't we just? Aren't we just? Well, I mean, that's how we've started
Yeah,
all these off, which is to say, I hope your loved ones, you're all keeping well, keeping safe throughout this time. And before we get into the music and everything, which is
likewise.
very, very exciting. Thank you for that. Yeah, before we get into all the music, all that exciting stuff, just how generally have you found this extended period at home? How have you been occupying your time over these last few months?
Well, early last year when the pandemic hit and we went into lockdown, I think I'm not alone that we, kind of didn't know what to do with our time. It was all of a sudden we had time. We had the luxury of, you know, being at home and having time to reflect and think about our life. And for me, I started off the pandemic really bummed because I was at the tail end of finishing my album, and it was supposed to come out second quarter of last year, and I had been working on it since the tail end of 2018. And so it was a passion project that I was very excited to put out. And then this pandemic hit, and you know, uh, I was just like, fuck, what am I going to do? How am I going to get this music out? So I took the time to really slow down. I feel like the last couple of years of my life, I've been kind of evolving into a better version of myself. And I wanted to incorporate that into this record, and into my career as an artist. And so I deep dove. I read. I watched documentaries. I listened to just countless hours of music. I wrote. I got into poetry. I got into painting and drawing and just being as artistic as I possibly could be, because this outlet of mine, which is performing and being on tour and being in the studio, I didn't have that anymore. I organically started to create this world of Lilith Czar and discovered this new ethereal persona that I felt that I was more than I was Juliet Sims. And I really wanted to incorporate that into this record. So, I built this world, and I came up with where she's from, who she is, what she's about, why she's here. And I pitched it basically to my people and to my managers and to my producer, and everybody was on board. And so we immediately went into more writing. How can we add this to the album that's already sitting there? And it was one night I was listening to the record, and it dawned on me, listening to these songs, how Lilith Czar they were already. It was almost as if the last 2 years, some cosmic force was like driving this album in a direction, because it's so far removed from anything Juliet has ever done. It just worked out beautifully and almost magically.
No, it's so interesting. I think it's great in a way to, I always admire people who've been able to use this time at home in a productive, creative way, because that's no easy feat. Like everyone's struggling, everyone's kind of, coping in their own ways. If you're able to channel that into expanding your art, that's a really, really impressive thing and something you can be very, very proud of. I wonder then, when you were starting to develop the actual character and around the music and everything, what were the aims going in? Because the quote that, kind of helped announce it, there was a couple, but the one that stuck with me is the end is the beginning. I mean, this feels like the opening of a whole new chapter for you, right?
Yeah, well, it is. Essentially what happened was this. Summer of last year, when I had come up with this new persona, this new artist, the whole thing, I had been in the studio with John Feldman, and we were just recording a little EP to put out and to give to people, so they had something to listen to while they were stuck in their homes. And I took that opportunity to kill off Juliet Sims for good. Ironically, I have a habit of dying in a lot of my music videos, and I wanted to seal the deal. I wanted it to be for good, and so I took the song All American and I wrote a music video treatment that reflected my life and social media and what it does to us, and how it can make us question our self-worth, and can make us really look inward instead of outward. I feel like at least for me, I feel happier and better about myself when I'm focusing like my energy and attention outward rather than like inward all the time, which is artists have a tendency to do that a lot, to like really sit and think about every tiny little detail and question everything that they do. And so part of me, my happiness comes from pushing my attention out, whether that's with art, it's like music, performing, poems, writing, photo shoots, music videos, whatever it may be. And so with this music video for All American, I really wanted to elaborate on what social media I see does to people and had done to myself, and how it can turn you into, a monster, or it could turn you into something, you don't want to be. It could kill you. It can make you depressed. It can make you, it can control your life and make you feel like you don't have control over how you feel about yourself, and all these terrible things. So I wanted to take a lot of that recognition that that's something I recognized last year, and I wanted to take that and put it into this music video and kill off Juliet Sims, so we could begin the the blossoming and the rebirth of me as an artist. And so after that music video came out, we went into full like plan mode. I wanted to create these visualizers that were centered around the awakening and birth of Lilith Czar. And in those, I incorporated poems that I had written. And we hired this lovely, her name's Emma. She's this lovely woman that works at Sumerian. She's an illustrator. And I had her, I sat with her for hours, and we designed these tarot cards. And behind each tarot card has a really, really special meaning to the end of Juliet and the rise of Lilith Czar. And I wanted to put it on social media, and not I didn't want to just come out and be like, by the way, I'm Lilith Czar now. I wanted to have a journey for the listener and for the follower. I wanted them to also feel like they were going on this like kind of downfall and rise back up. I wanted it to do something for the viewer as well. And so that's how, that's what you're seeing on Instagram as of 10 weeks ago.
About 10 weeks ago. It's up there now for sure. But that's really interesting to hear you say that, and particularly the approach to character there, because King's just dropped the kind of recent single is just out there. Big strong statement, and definitely sort of the kind of kickoff moment for this new persona. I think it's clear to anyone that you're able to say a lot of different things as Lilith that you couldn't necessarily as Juliet, right? It feels like a very empowering is maybe an overused word, but there's definitely a renewed confidence, I would say. I mean, it's a big swagger of a music video and a single right there. You must feel that already.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I think that I spent many years, I don't know whether it was because I was, I had been on The Voice and I had been trained so much as to what to say, how to act, how, what not to say. And a lot of the experiences that I had throughout the years of being told who I was, what I should do, how I should sound like, what I should wear, how sexy I should be, how not, like, all this control and all of this input from outside, basically, the peanut gallery. It fucking affected the crap out of me. And it yeah, it made me very introverted and very not outspoken and not confident. And I just got sick of it. I was just like, this is not this you're I'm just reflecting what you're telling me I should do. And that over time bubbled over, and it wasn't helping me, and it wasn't helping any of the people who were listening to my music. And when it all comes down to it, what I want with my music more than anything is I want it to help people. And I'm not helping people by not fucking saying exactly what's on my mind. And so King came about. I actually wrote that that song in the summer of 2019 when I was on Disrupt. And there's a whole story behind that. The lyric, if it's a man's world, I want to be king. Kind of gross.
It's a hell of a lyric.
Yeah, so something happened that really fucking pissed me off. And so what I did is I just started writing, and I sent some lyrics to my producer, and he was like, the moment you're off the road, we're going to write that song.
Wow.
Came off tour, went to the studio a week later, and we wrote King.
Man, that's amazing. No, it's great. It's great to see that. Like, it's funny, isn't it? How, almost taking on a new persona, you can finally speak, like you say, that's from such a personal experience there, and not afraid to show it and bring it out there. It's got to be a real kind of amazing moment for you. And actually, the other key detail with that, it's very clear in the album title. I always bang on about album titles in these interviews, but I genuinely find them fascinating, particularly when it's something as evocative as Created from Filth and Dust, because it feels like there it is, burning it all down, building it back up, right? Where did that title come from?
So while I was on my my hunt for imagery and inspiration for this character Lilith Czar and the world that I was building around her, I came upon a very old scripture and a very old poem. I mean, I'm talking thousands of years old. And in the poem, it speaks about Lilith. And the story of Lilith is as it's something that I feel like women are still dealing with today. Essentially, Adam was made, as of Adam and Eve. Adam was made from earth, from ground, from dirt, from filth. God said, oh, Adam shouldn't be alone, so he created Lilith from the same earth, dirt, ground as Adam was. So she felt she was his equal. When Adam and Lilith began to fight because Adam was trying to get Lilith to submit, you will lay beneath me, etc., etc. This is where we fucked up in history. Lilith would not submit, and so she was cast out. And it says in this poem, she rose up and she spoke a name she was not supposed to speak. I interpret that as the devil's name, and she went to hell. And in that poem, it says Lilith, created from filth and dust. And right then, I knew. I was like, that's my fucking album title. I've never connected more with a story more than I do with Lilith's. In the years, in my history in the rock scene and in the music industry, I have had to deal with a lot of misogyny, a lot of sexism, a lot of being treated differently because I had boobs and a vagina. It's so much in my DNA, being treated differently because I'm a woman, that I couldn't help but have it affect me so deeply and become something that I needed to talk about and write about and put into my art, because it's my music and everything only comes from personal experiences, and this was just very prevalent. in my life, and I wanted to inspire women and help and let them know that they are gods, and this is my way of doing it.
It's a really, really nice sentiment. It's also, it's really great to see someone like yourself being actually given that freedom to just have complete ownership of a project like that, make it personal, make it have characters, make it have a grander storyline. Because I think it's fair to say, even just from an outside point of view, even 10 years ago, there wouldn't have been as many opportunities for someone like yourself to do that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're so right. I mean, that's when I started in this industry, that's what I entered into. I entered into a world that was like, well, we know what you are and we know who you are. You just listen to us, let us puppet you, and we know best, little cutie pie. That's kind of like what I entered into. I am very, very, very fortunate to be working with Indigoot, which is my managers, and Sumerian Records. I owe a lot of that freedom to Sumerian and Ash Albitson. They listen to me. They respect my ideas and my thoughts and my songwriting. And this is the first time in my career that I've been allowed to do exactly what I want to do.
There's no putting anybody in a box anymore, is there? Which is just, it's a great development, and long may it continue. And I guess that's plain to see. I mean, I've heard a sampling of tracks from the record. Lots of different styles in there. There's a lot of heavy stuff, but what stood out to me, interesting choice of cover on there. You've got the legendary absolute banger that is Edge of 17 by Stevie Nicks. Other than that being an absolute classic, what was it that drew you to it and thought, yeah, this fits in with this project in particular?
Well, Stevie Nicks has been a huge inspiration since I can remember. I mean, between her, Janis Joplin, and Aretha Franklin, those three women I grew up with them. I grew up listening to them all day, every day. And Stevie Nicks was just, I mean, I thought she was just the most beautiful, magical, witchy goddess, like I wanted to be her so bad. And so that song, I've been singing that song since I can remember, since I was a little girl. And so I kind of feel like it's my song too. I think that's the wonderful thing about music, is once it's out there, it's for the listener to own as well. And it helps shape your life, and it makes an imprint on that time in your life. And that song for me, when you're a kid, the world hasn't beaten you down yet. When you're a kid, you still have limitless hopes and dreams. And that song was that for me. That I would listen to that song and I want to be a rock star and a singer and help, and I want to inspire other girls to sing and know that they're amazing and, magical and can achieve anything that they want to achieve. That's what that song, when I listen to it, makes me feel. It makes me remember that time in my life when I was a little girl and I thought that anything was possible. And so that's one of the reasons why I really wanted to cover that song. But also, if you know what that song's about, it's very fitting. The song is about struggle and life and, getting older. And it was written at a time in Stevie's life where it was right around the time of John Lennon's passing. And she was staying here in Los Angeles when she wrote it. And she talks about how the song is about changing and growing up and becoming something else and the evolution of life. And so I just felt like it had to be on the album. It was almost like I didn't have a choice. It was just this is the song that's going on the record.
Yeah, thematically it is so appropriate. I wonder, is it daunting to try and take on a song like that? I mean, you pull it off, to be fair to you, but it is like, it's so embedded into everyone's DNA, that type of song. Like, how do you begin to approach that and put what I think you have done, which is a nice little unique twist on it?
Well, I think very highly of myself, so
you've got to in this game.
It wasn't that hard, you know. Yeah, no, it was frightening. You know, the day that I went into the studio to record it, my producer Scott Stevens was like, looked at me and he's like, "Hey, you know that this song's like 7 minutes long?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know." And he's like, "And you know that it's like big shoes to fill?" And I was like, "Yeah. What are we doing?" And he was like, "I don't know." And I was like, let's just you know, we took it with in baby steps. We're like, look, let's record it. If it sucks, we'll go from there. So the way that we actually went about recording the vocals for that song is I was like, let's just stay true to Stevie. Let's set up a mic in the room and sing it from start to finish. No takes. No, you know, typically when you're in a studio or in a recording session and you're recording a song, you'll do the verse like 10 times, then you'll do the pre a bunch of times, and you'll do the chorus a bunch of times, and you do the second verse a bunch of times, and that's typically what you do. With this song, we just hit record, start to finish, and he was like, "One more time for luck," and I was like, "All right." We did it one more time, and then we picked our favorite, and that's the vocal for the song. And Stevie, if you hear it ever, I hope you like it.
Stevie's a huge fan of this. Like we go way back, me and Stevie.
Cool. You should just give her my number.
It's the dream. It's the dream right now. It's funny hearing you say earlier on about kind of early development and talking quite openly about the struggles of social media, which I think is something that everyone talks about, God, particularly in this year. But what's interesting is the kind of the flip side of that, where it is so central to this campaign already, to what you're doing. It's really, really tied in with the music already, whether that's through the visuals, whether that's through little announcements, through the video stuff and everything. I take it that's something you want to continue with there. It feels like you're really building an online world with this. Yeah, absolutely. I think that, I think we're living, I mean, this is just my own personal opinion, but I think we're living in a time right now where art is being really appreciated again. You know, I feel like we went through this like period where it was just fucking fake. There was just so much fake shit. Everything was perfect and every person was perfect and beautiful, and music was fucking tuned to everything was just so polished and so, you know, the sun is out and here's all the rainbows. And I feel like we're living in a time where, again, because this has happened before, everything is cyclical, but we're living in a time right now where people are really yearning for creativity and art and truth and authenticity and people being their most authentic selves. And I think social media, at least I'm doing it with mine, I would like to take my deepest part of my soul and heart and put that into my social media and make my socials art, make it artistic, make it, when a follower or, a supporter comes to any of my social medias, I want them to feel like they're getting a glimpse or, they're getting a view into my brain and my heart, rather than like, this is what I ate for lunch. And I'm playing with my puppy now. Like I want to give them something, and that's fine. I'm not putting anybody down that does that. But I just personally, I want to be like, no, look at what I wrote last night. And this is how I feel. And I want you to read it and take what you want out of it. And this is what I drew and made this music video. I want you to think. I really want it to be thought provoking. And so I am going to continue that with my social media. Yeah, I mean, you're a creative, and that is a creative platform, so why not use it in that way? I think that makes a lot
Yeah.
of sense, and particularly when it's something as, ambitious as this, and you are expanding that world. And on that note, I guess this is how I'll start to wrap it up. But it is a big question. But what is next? I don't know how much you want to give away, but this feels very much like the beginning of something. Even the album release feels like the beginning of something. This feels like a first step for you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. What's next is we will be putting out another song before the album comes out, which comes out April 23rd. King, just dropping my shit in there real quick, came out last week. All social media platforms, music video, it's everywhere. Go check it out. So we will be putting out another song. I will be putting out another song before the album comes out. But what you can expect next is more, more music, more art, performing any way we can. We're living in this weird time right now where I wish I could be like, I'm going on tour, because that would be the typical thing that follows dropping an album. But you can expect, more thought-provoking music videos and content, and some stripped down versions of these songs. I would love to get, which we're working on right now. We're going to get more into lifestyle and beauty and skincare and the things that I'm painting and drawing, and kind of putting it all into this, this world of Lilith. And I just want, with this record, I want to be able to I just want to be able to really put out my true authentic self as an artist. And without giving too much away, we have some really exciting stuff coming up in the future that hopefully people will enjoy.
Well, we're excited to see it. In the meantime, just stay safe out there, and we look forward to seeing you in the UK whenever that's allowed. We hope it's going to be sooner rather than later, fingers crossed. But in the meantime, great chatting to you, all right? We'll chat to you again soon.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
No,
It's been
of
wonderful to
course.
speak to you.
You too. All right.
Okay.
Love everybody.